Baylor Inside Linebackers Coach Jamar Chaney, NFL veteran, also played at Mississippi State. Jamar, thanks for your time. You've coached a lot. You were at outside linebackers at Western Kentucky. What's the difference between outside and inside based on what Aranda does, Dave Aranda at Baylor?
It's a little different. Usually outside linebacker is more like an edge guy, kind of hybrid. So he plays, kind of like when you think of outside linebacker, you think of like a Von Miller or, DeMarcus Ware type guys.
Uh-huh.
They're mostly in and they drop sometimes. Well, the good thing about Western Kentucky is the outside linebackers was actually like almost inside guys. So they did a lot. They played the edge and did a lot of things normal outside backers do, but they also did a lot of stuff that the inside linebackers do, way more than you would do normally at the outside backers. In Aranda's scheme, the outside backer, he's mainly a rusher. He doesn't have a huge responsibility. I think pass coverage wise, but so I think that's the difference. I play inside linebacker, so that's what I think I'm most familiar with. I think coaching outside linebackers actually helped me out for when inside linebackers are actually put in those positions to rush on the edge and line on the edge and do those type of things. But I'm an inside linebacker guy by trade just because that's what I actually played.
So you have either played or coached under some amazing names: Mike Leach, Dan Mullen, Sylvester Croom, Andy Reid, Billy Napier, who's now at Florida. Of course, you were there as an analyst. Sean McDermott, Todd Bowles. How much have you been able to marinate? I use that word a lot, or saturate that inside your blood.
I think, you have to. I always knew I wanted to be a coach after I was done. So just trying to take a little bit from each one of those guys. I actually have a good relationship with all those guys. Andy Reid, Dan Mullen, Todd Bowles. So, I'm constantly, picking their brains and trying to see what they see and things that they have that can help me become a better coach. So it's been a blessing to be around, to be able to coach with and play for those guys. And it's just me just kind of using it kind of like, a melting pot, just picking certain things from each one of those guys to kind of apply to how I do things,
All right, so I saw a podcast, and I'm almost positive it was you and Mason Miller. You were at Mississippi State and doing a podcast at a restaurant. Was that you on the back patio having food and enjoying life?
I don't remember me doing one of the podcasts.
Well, it was you sitting down with a restaurant owner and I think a booster and just kind of shooting it, and enjoying yourself.
They did do those things when I first got to Mississippi State.
Yeah. And so we've had Mason on and we talked quite a bit about that. So it made me think. You've been a lot of places. You've been all over the South, and now you're in Texas. Wherever you, and of course, played in the NFL with Atlanta, Denver, the Raiders, and drafted by the Eagles. Where's the best food you've ever played or eaten?
I would have to go with Philadelphia. I was there for 4 years. They got so many restaurants there, man. The cheesesteaks are awesome. So I would have to go with of Philly, just because I think longevity there being there, so I get to experience a lot of different places. So I have to go Philadelphia.
All right. So energy, passion. How do you, as a coach, have that, show that, and make sure players understand it's real?
I'm a big relationship guy, so my players, they gonna know, and I'm in the phase of doing that right now. My players gonna know that I care for them, that I love them, that I'm going, I got their back no matter what. But with that gonna come, tough coaching, So once, I gain that trust and we become, they become familiar with my coaching style and things like that, and they know like, okay, Coach Chaney is looking out for the best of me, or Coach Chaney really wants me to accomplish everything I'm trying to accomplish here at Baylor. He wants that for me, but he's got to push me, he got to grind me, he got to do certain things to make sure, he's constantly motivating me, encouraging me at the same time, and just continue to build those guys up so they can achieve those things. So honestly, that hasn't been like a hard thing for me to do, just because I'm like a big relationship guy. Like I've been in their shoes, so I know I kind of, whatever the things that I like when I was a player, I kind of do the same thing with those guys. So that part hasn't been hard for me as far as like, motivating those guys and coaching those guys hard, because they know that I'm there for them on and off the field. I still have a relationship with my guys that I coach back when I was a high school head coach. Still in group chats with those guys, still talk to those guys. So those my players know, like when I coach, we lock in for life. So I think that kind of helps me out. Get to my players and able to coach them as hard as I can.
You were a star linebacker at St. Lucie Centennial. Were you a coachable player, or were there times when you had to kind of, learn how to have someone tell you what to do?
I was always a coachable player just because, I don't know, God gave me a vision at a young age, and I just felt like, anybody I ever come in contact with is trying to help me to get to where I want to get to. Ultimately, that was the NFL. That I'm listening to what they got to say, and I'm gonna do everything I got to do to accomplish that. So, I mean, that's probably why I got a good relationship with all those guys that coach me, because they know, like, there was one thing about me, what they would say, like, that's Andy Reid, Dan Moore, that outside of my athletic ability, like, hey, he was a hard worker. He gonna do whatever you tell him to do, and that's just because I had the mindset of I see that goal, I see where I want to get at, and I'm gonna do everything I can to get to there. And you're my coach, I'm gonna listen to you, so that kind of contributes to me getting there. I mean, you probably got more knowledge than me. I'm trying to gain the knowledge that you have to help me accomplish that goal. So that was kind of my mindset as a player. So I never really had a problem, not listening and trying to get back on track, because I was very focused on my goals and things I wanted to accomplish.
What's it like to be on a staff with Dave Aranda for what he's known for defensively, and he's taken over, as we all know, as the defensive coordinator as long as the head coach, and Matthew Pallage, who was the DC last year and where he's been, and then to have Gary Patterson, who's one of those known as a defensive guru, to have all those guys around you and learn from them, and you also coach a part of their defense.
Oh, that was a big reason why chose to come in as well. Of course, it's a great opportunity, but I thought, with me being a coach, the opportunity to learn as well, and to learn from somebody like Coach Aranda, that's one of the top defensive minds in the game. Not only that, he's a linebacker guy. That's the position I coach. Just being able to come with him and learn from him was huge. And I didn't even know Gary Patterson was here until I got here on the interview. And just knowing that he's here, I mean, head coach, I think 24, 26 years or something like that. At one school, I think. And then all the success he's had at TCU, man. So that just put the cherry on top. And like you said, Coach Pallage, I mean, he's coached with a guy that I worked with, Patrick Toney. He was a DC in Florida. So that was a big reason why I chose to come as well. Is that those guys, being able to work with those guys, but not only work for those guys, but work with those guys, but learn from those guys as well. So I think that'll help me out in the long run as well, learn from those guys.
What was your first conversation with Dave Aranda, and how much have you had to kind of learn his style? Cerebral, deep thinker. Sometimes you wonder where there is blood boiling inside of him, but there's a fire. We know that. He can coach. But they've struggled the last couple of years. And so what was that conversation like with him?
It was really good. He cares about, his coach cares about his players. So, it was a lot of, personal questions and things like that about my family and stuff. But then we got to talking ball. He told me to get on the board and things like that, and just show him the way I, coach linebackers, through drills and some of the stuff we did at Western Kentucky. And that's kind of how it went. And, just being around him, like I say, like he's very detailed. He sees things that you normally don't see. So, I mean, that's another thing that, helping me grow, as a coach, as a linebacker coach, and just being around him, because he's very involved with the defense, as you know now, and very involved with the linebackers as well. So it's just been really good, like I said, having him around, being around him, and also, coaching those guys, doing my job, but also learning from him. Man, he does have a fire about him. I mean, he's passionate about playing good defense. So and he's done that, in the past. So we're excited about, this upcoming season, with the steps that we're taking now to get there.
So you mentioned your family, your wife Shamira, 4 children. Your Twitter page has that picture of you and the family and what it means to you. When you go home after an intense day of practice, meeting, film, all of that, what's that like to go home and just have them all around you?
I mean, it's real good. I mean, I value family, a lot. I don't take that, faith, family, football thing for granted. I actually try to put it in that order. So man, when I'm not here, when I'm not at the building, I mean, I don't golf. I mean, I don't hang out with friends as much, just because this job is demanding. So we already sacrifice a lot of time. So anytime I got free time, that's with my wife and kids. So it's really big just having my kids running to my arms, even my wife. Just getting home and being on my feet. I mean, I try to tell my players that too, man. I know they're young and they got stuff going on in their life. Certain stuff that kind of might affect them once they get on the field or in the mirrors, but you got to kind of be where your feet are. If you want to practice, we got to strictly focus on practice. When you're in the mirror room, we got to strictly focus on what we got to get accomplished in the mirror. Once you get out of that, once you get out of practice, okay, let's talk about all that stuff. And that's the same thing, I think, with me. Once I'm on that practice field, I'm in the mirror room over here. It's all about y'all and getting y'all better. Once I'm getting home, no matter what the problems or certain things that we're going through, I'll handle those things once I'm where my feet at. But when I'm home, I'm with them. They don't know daddy. They know daddy coaches, but they don't know all of the ins and outs of coaching. So when they come home, they just want to be with me, and laugh, play, and do those type of things.
Jamar, if you don't mind, I'm going to read this. This is from your Twitter page that you put up, pinned at the top, and it was very impressive. I always dreamed of having a family like this. It's a picture of your wife and your 4 children. I do my best to lead by example, an example for youth who come from communities like mine. Show them black men can be good husbands and dads and take pride in it. It's not easy, but worth it. A blessing I don't take for granted. That is very powerful. And I was very impressed by that. And you're right. And how much does that mean to you for you to be a role model for others to look up to?
That means a lot because I come from a single parent home. My dad was in my life. I don't want to put that out there, but I grew up with me, my mom, and my 3 sisters in the household. So I was the man of the house at a young age. And then didn't really see like a father figure like in the household with his with his family. So that was big with me. I always dreamed of having a family, being a husband, being a father, and not just and not taking that for granted, like being there, like actually like being that husband that's there for his wife mentally, spiritually, and physically. The same thing with my kids as well. So I don't take that for granted. I try to be an example, for my sisters. Like I said, I grew up in a household, with, so being an example for them, being an example for the kids, like I said, that come from communities like me that might not have that example, but hopefully, they can look to me and I'm doing a good enough job the way they can be like, okay, I can be a good husband. I can be a good father. Not saying it's easy. It's hard, being a good husband, good father. But I think, with you following the Lord, you following Jesus. I mean, I think it's a path worth taking, and I think he'll help you along the way.
Was there a time when you were growing up when you were right there that you could have made a decision that was one that came back to haunt you, and you were able to always stay on the right side, or was it tough?
Yeah, it was tough. Like I say, it was. Like, I tried to wear everything. Like, I told you what my goal was and my dreams. So it was kind of, I tried to put everything to a filter, man. If it felt like it was going to mess, me trying to get where I want to get it, I didn't do it. So that kind of helped me out a lot. And then I just saw how my mom was like 2 to 3 jobs, so it was just like, man, like she's already struggling. So why would I, go do this or go do that or act like this in school to have more problems, have her having to worry about it. No, I just want her to be proud of me, proud of the young man I'm becoming, and that might help ease, the stress and being exhausted all the time. Just seeing her son like doing good in school, doing good on the football field, and staying out of trouble. So that kind of was my mindset. I thank God for that mindset because I had it at a young age as far as like operating like that.
Jamar Chaney, inside linebackers coach at Baylor, with us. Last year, the defense struggled fitting the run. How do you change it? Obviously, talent, personnel, scheme, etc. What did you see, and what do you see now? What are you guys working on during spring practices?
Just working on, you always work on fundamentals. I think blocking, block destruction, tackling, all that stuff will improve every day. I mean, even if you're just out there playing 7-on-7. So just trying to work on those things and constantly be a team that can just line up out there and play big defense and be able to operate. And that just goes with, working the fundamentals. You got to stop the run. You got to be able to get on blocks. I mean, we can fit everything up, but eventually you got guys that yell blocks, make tackles in the open field. So just constantly, preaching those things and making sure guys are playing with high effort, high energy, building confidence in these guys. And we can go out here and we can play really, really, really good defense here at Baylor. And that's what we plan on doing.
You're working with players, and you hope all of them come back, but it's a weird time. And those relationships, do you feel like that will help quite a bit with making sure that you don't spend time with players or 3 or 4, and then all of a sudden they're gone and you have new 3 or 4 coming in?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, but I think it's how you attack it. I'm very honest and upfront with my guys in my position room, so I think it goes both ways. Coaches move a lot too.
Yep.
So I kind of tell my guys, I'm always be up in front with y'all. Y'all be up in front with me, so I don't want to find out nothing on social media, nothing like that. And it's the same way with my guys at West Virginia. I mean, they probably knew that I was. They knew before I even took the job that I was going where I was going and what I was going for. And then they knew before it got out. They almost knew before, I told the head coach at Western Kentucky, just because that's the kind of relationship that I had with them. Like, you were going to hear it from me, So that's the kind of same respect I respect back from my players. Like, if you thinking something, we need to sit down and talk about it. But before any decision is made, we need to talk about it, sit down and make sure you let me know, what's going on, and I'm not just finding out, from anybody else, and I think that's been good for me as far as like with my players, just building that type of relationship where they trust me with that, and vice versa, they trust me as well. I trust them as well.
What was your life and experience as a National Football League player and a veteran? I mean, that's just one out of a minuscule amount of people that even have that opportunity, and you did.
I mean, it was great. I mean, I enjoyed it. My first NFL game was actually my first NFL game that I played in was the first game I ever went to. So yeah, it was awesome, man. Great experience, meet good people. You get to do something you've been dreaming to do. You've been working to do all your life, and to see those things come true, man. It is just a blessing from God, and I'm truly blessed to be able to say, something that I dreamed of as a child, I actually accomplished it, and actually, played a couple of years in the NFL. So I'm truly blessed to be able to tell that story,
Jamar, thanks for your time. Jamar Chaney, Baylor Inside Linebackers Coach on 365 Sports.